Hello, welcome to Friday at Left Foot. This is our traditional quality control day where we have to sample all of the wines to make sure that everything is safe, especially now when there's not as many staff around due to the restrictions and the way we're trying to be careful with everything. So I'm going through and tasting a couple wines to make sure that they're safe and we can kind of keep the aging going in this nice quiet cellar. And a lot of times when we're back here with people, we get asked about our tanks. And stainless steel is often assumed to be just a vessel, a neutral, a lot of people call it. But there really is a lot of detail behind these tanks that adds to the kind of the methodology and what we're thinking about when we make wine. These here you can see are very tall cylinders. I'm about 6'3"-ish when I stand up straight. And so these are pushing 14 feet. They hold about 1,530 gallons. Which would be equivalent of somewhere around 38,000 glasses of wine. So we need your help draining these things, so keep that in mind. But 600 cases of wine roughly, and we like these tanks for a couple of reasons. One, that volume allows us to take about 2 acres of vineyard and make one wine in one tank. The other nice thing about these though is because of this tall shape, the yeast settle down real nicely in a tight, compact format. And so that keeps the yeast interaction. We can really limit that. So when we want wines that have a lot of fruity expression or keep the acidity really bright, we like these. We prefer these tanks because they allow us that ability to let it settle, move the wine off away from the yeast, and really preserve that primary fruit characteristics. This room we call the Oval Office. This is the first tanks that we ever purchased here in Bryan. These were made for us in Slovenia. I had to go out of the country because I couldn't find a tank manufacturer that wanted to make this shape. And the shape and style of these tanks serves a different purpose than the real tall cylinders you just saw. This oval shape, if you think of basically taking a cylinder and laying it down, the yeast spreads out over a longer bed. The surface area is much greater at the bottom. This functions more like a barrel would in terms of its physical layout. And that alone allows us to have more yeast interaction with the juice. So when we're looking at wines that we want to fill the middle body and kind of augment some of those aged qualities and creaminess you would get from the yeast, we prefer these tanks. These allow us to keep the wine in contact with the yeast without a lot of compaction going on. In the tall cylinders, the yeast will kind of stratify and get a little bit stinky. And so if you're using a cylinder, you tend to have to stir the wine more to keep the yeast from dying at the bottom. Whereas with these tanks, because it's spread out wider, we don't have as much of that compaction. The other benefit is we have cooling jackets on both sides. And so I can turn one cooling jacket on, and that'll cool this side of the tank, which drops it down, and then as it warms, it comes back to the other side. So you get kind of this natural stirring. And keeps the yeast in suspension. So a very different winemaking purpose here. These are our red fermenters. These are also about 800 gallons, but they're a completely different shape from the other two. And the purpose of these is to ferment wines and juice with the skins. So our red wines, our Blaufränkisch, Cabernet Franc, we would put in where they would ferment with the skins for a period of 2 to 3 weeks maybe. During that time, this shape, the kind of angled shape of the tank, traps the skins. And so we have more surface area or juice to skin ratio. It's easier when we're trying to break that up because the goal of that fermentation is to keep the skins wet with the juice. That's where we get the color and the tannin in the body of the wine. So in these particular tanks, we'll pump juice out of this low valve into a cart basically with screens. The juice flows out of there and we pump it back up over the top into a sprinkler that then rotates and kind of rains the juice over the top of the skins. And these tanks really aid in the fact that the skins kind of don't get dried out and allows that to kind of pour through. And the other nice thing about a tank like this for reds is you get the temperature up. We want warm temperatures, and the yeast activity kind of helps increase the heat as we go. When you hear stainless steel fermented, don't think that's just a kind of a throwaway neutrality. There's a lot to these tanks and how we want to use them to make and express the wines in the way that we see from the vineyard. And big part of what we do at Left Foot in northern Michigan in general. Mm-hmm. Cheers. Prost.